Hiya folks, today we're going to be going over the Armor King matchup in Tekken 8, seeing as this is a newly released fan favorite character. Lots of people are going to be playing him, lots of people are going to be getting knowledge checked, especially due to how recent he just came out. Now I spent all of yesterday on his release day just in the lab, figuring out what this guy does, what his key tools are, and what counterplay there is for said key tools. So that's what we're going to be going through in today's video. Now, quick disclaimer, obviously this is the start of the release period for this character, so if there's anything I missed, or any maybe character-specific counterplay that you found with your character, do feel free to share that in the comments below. Also, another thing, these are split into timestamps, so I've set these notes that I'm going over into categories. So if there's a specific category that you're interested in, do feel free to check the timestamps if you want to bounce around a little bit and go to what you're most interested in. But I do recommend sticking around for the whole thing, as obviously this character is just released, everything's new for us at the moment, so yeah, just keep that in mind. Alright, with that being said, let's get into the guide. Now, the first thing we're going to go over is Armor King's heat. What does he get in heat? What are his specific heat mechanics you should be looking out for? Now, from my testing, his heat looks pretty strong. First important thing to note is that he does have homing throws in heat, just like his counterpart King. So, for example, if you do like Giant Swing, you can see homing in heat. This does not apply to all throws. For example, you can see his 1+2 break here is not homing. 2 break here is not homing. So it only applies to some of the throws, but of course that is worth noting. Now, other than that, some important heat moves to know. Forward, forward, 4. This is a great long-range heat engager. Just in case the block stun animation looks a little deceptive, this is -8. So don't be fooled by this block stun animation. You can take your turn back here. Consider doing like a low or a hell sweep or something, just putting it on your pressure after this. Next up, we have while standing 3-1. So this is his 13 frame heat engager. Just in case people are throwing this out online, this is -13. So do be sure to punish that. Next up, forward 2-1. This is just like King's forward 2-1, so you should recognize this animation. A nice part about this move is that this move does not have a launching mid follow-up. If you've played against King before, if you've labbed this move with King, you'll know that he can opt to do the high, which most of the time King players will just do the high follow-up. However, if they see you ducking it, they have got a fully launching mid extension to catch you ducking. Armor King does not get this, so if you see forward 2-1, be sure to duck that move. Next heat engager we have is bad Jaguar Stance 1-2. So this is also one I presume that we're going to be seeing very often. This is -12, so do be sure to punish this. We're going to go over bad Jaguar Stance later on in the video, but do be sure if you see this, always punish it, -12. It is a high mid string. Next up, we have a heat-specific string in down back 2-1. Okay, so in heat, Armor King gets access to this special frame trap, down back 2-1. Uses up a decent chunk of heat and gives him +3. Now, a useful bit of counterplay for this move, if you see your opponent spamming it, you cannot interrupt the second hit with like a jab or an armor move. However, if you are lucky enough to have any kind of parry, you can give that a go, see if that works. Yeah, parry should work against this second hit. Be sure to test it with your character if you have a parry. But as you can see, Nina's parry here works. Obviously, this is going to be stronger if you have something like Yoshi Flash. If you've got maybe like Reina's parry, you get like guaranteed stuff off that. Now, of course, if the Armor King notices you doing this and wants to counter you doing this, they can do the first hit of down back 2, just like that, and not do the follow-up, wait for you to parry, and then launch your parry in its recovery frames. If they are doing this, down back 2 on its own is -11. So if you see them doing this, you know, maybe you start parrying, you parry this once or twice, then maybe, you know, the Armor King player catches on, they start doing this, you can start punishing them for this as well. which creates some mind games that can favor you in this situation, rather than just having to take the plus frames over and over again. It is worth noting as well that even outside of Heat, Armor King does have access to two extensions, a high and a mid extension out of down back 2, in down back 2-4. This high extension here, -5, obviously duckable, and down back 2-3, which is -12. Right, and you can see here with these follow-ups, right, these normal follow-ups, the high follow-up you cannot parry. It's a bit too fast, so you will get hit by this. Not the end of the world. You're just taking, like, yeah, 20 damage there. So it's a decent chunk. He's +7. That is worth noting. The Armor King player can opt to do that if they see you trying to parry. Again, though, this is quite advanced counterplay from the Armor King player, which probably you won't see until a higher rank specialist. Next one is the mid extension. This one you can still parry, so that is worth knowing. And if you block it, yeah, -12 like we went over earlier. Be sure to punish this. So it's all about sort of getting their tendencies. But the main goal around this Heat move here that I'm trying to say is that you don't want to let them mindlessly mash this out over and over again. Now, next move we're going to go over is a particularly busted move, in my opinion. I'm not really sure why this is in the game, but it is, so we have to deal with it. This is Bad Jaguar 3-2. Now, without Heat, this armor move is, yeah, -13. Pretty normal. However, with Heat, he gets this extension here, which leaves him +5 from an armor move. This is quite absurd. Now, when I looked at the trailer, and I was looking at, you know, the gameplay footage, I went into the lab, you might notice the second hit is 34 frames, so you might be wondering, oh, can I interrupt that? No. This string is completely jailing. As soon as you block the first hit, you cannot do anything. You can try and press, you can try and parry, nothing will come out. You are forced to take the second hit as well. So, unfortunately, if you block the first hit, you have to take the second one. This does have strong tracking to his right side, but has very little tracking to his left side. So if you get reads, which we'll go over again when we talk about his stance, his Bad Jaguar stance, but if you have reads, you can step this. Like if they're in Heat, I'm sure a lot of Armor King players will be spamming this. But yeah, if you block the first hit, you've got to take the second hit, and you're -5. Now, also worth going over, just quickly, is his Heat Smash. This on block is actually particularly strong. We weren't sure of the frames beforehand. I actually thought, you know, maybe it wouldn't be too bad. No, it's pretty bad. He's +9 with barely any pushback in your face. So this Heat Smash on block is very strong. Be prepared to hold back after this. Alright, so now we're going to go over some of Armor King's generic tools that he's going to throw out in the neutral that you want to be aware of. First one we're going to talk about is his handspring and its extensions. Yeah, so you're likely going to see handspring as an approach tool, with the Armor King player likely mixing up with the extensions. Now, what can you do against this? Well, first off, if they just opt to do it on its own, it leaves them -7 in back turn. So if they decide to do this move on its own and then they hold down back to quickly, you know, get out of your pressure afterwards, you can see you can actually get a big back turn punish if you know they're going to do this, right? If you see them doing this, obviously this is a Nina specific back turn punish, but you can see I've got him to hold down back after this. So even my down forward 1 will hit him. 14 frame move, 15 frame move, yeah. So this is quite unsafe for Armor King to do. Now let's go over the extensions. So the first of the 4 extensions we have is this unbreakable throw. Now this throw clocks in at 35 frames. So the counterplay here is to react and to duck it. It is also weak to sidestep in either direction. You sidestep immediately. But yes, it is worth noting, if you can react to this, you should be able to, you can react and duck, and then Armor King will be left back turn right next to you. If you're really quick, you'll see the punish icon. Even if you're a little bit late and it doesn't say punish, most likely you're going to get the punish here unless you're very late, because Armor King, again, left and back turn, so you've got to take that into account. Next follow-up. This is a fast high. Now this is predominantly, of course, it can be ducked if you know he's going to do it. But this move is used to counter you stepping. So if you step either direction, because of its speed, it will clip you. Now it is only 14 frames. So you're going to see that the other options we cover here later on, there is some fuzzy duck utility here due to how fast the high move is, right? So the next move the next extension we're gonna go over is this mid extension here, right? Now you'll see this is a 17 frame mid, bit of a goofy animation. Now this one, you can see it says 17 to 37 startup frames, a bit confusing. Now from my testing, when I tested this playing as Armor King, ducking this, it hit me on the 17th frame. But when you see me playing Nina, I even tested this like on Jin, it hits on, if you're ducking, it hits on the 22nd frame. I've seen this hit on the 23rd. Yeah, there you go. So this allows you, assuming you're not playing a big character, again, I don't know if this is a bug or not, if this is intended, but this allows for great fuzzy duck utility, right? Because the high move is 14 frames, and if we're ducking this, right, this is going to hit us on anywhere from like frame 22 to 24, 25, something like that, right? Which means that we're working with a much higher gap between the high and the mid, which makes fuzzy ducking much more consistent. On block, this move is minus 18, but it leaves him grounded here. So what you want to do is you want to do a move that hits grounded here to punish Armor King if you block this, right? Now, last follow-up we have from this handspring move is this sort of mid body slam kind of move here, right? Now this one is, yes, it's another mid, but this one clocks in at 24 frames, which once again suits us very well for wanting to fuzzy duck, if we want to fuzzy duck this this mix-up, right? So 24 frames, if you block it, you are forced into crouch, it's 0 on block. But again, the ideal thing that we want to be doing here, assuming that assuming that this move is not a bug when you duck it, assuming that this hitting you at like frame 22, 23 is not a bug, fuzzy duck is a great option here. Because you've got plenty of time to fuzzy the 14 frame high, and then stand block for these mid options, right? This works. Fuzzy ducking will beat every single option, including this. If for whatever reason this gets patched out, or if you're playing a big character, the second best counterplay that I found would be sidestepping, right? Because sidestepping, the only option that will beat sidestepping is this fast high. This is the only option that will beat sidestep. And this is not the end of the world if you get hit by this, right? Considering he does any other of the mid extension, the other options, if you sidestep to the right, now the only reason I say sidestep right, you can sidestep left some of these, but the reason I say sidestep right is because this move here tracks to sidestep left. So I'd say, yeah, sidestep right here. This is a bit of a weird back turn kind of punish. So do lab this with your character if this is the counterplay you're opting for. Or if this gets patched or anything. Again, I'm not 100% sure if this is a bug or not. I think it's intended, but we'll see. Real quick, an important move that you need to be punishing all the time is Armor King's sort of electric that he has. There is no sort of just frame, like plus on block version like the Mishimas. This is all he can do. The only alteration to this move that you'll see is sometimes when he lands like a specific counter hit or combo tool, he'll breathe fire and then you'll be able to do like a special blue spark kind of just frame input. But in the neutral, if he wants to throw this out, it is always going to be minus 10. Next move I quickly want to touch on is Poison Mist. Now you've likely seen this if you've watched the trailers. This is his unblockable high that leads to a guaranteed throw when it hits, right? Now without heat, this move is 35 frames of startup, so this is absolutely reactable. So do be sure, and the little effects as well, and the obvious like animation of him like reeling backwards kind of gives this one away. So be sure if they're using this, particularly outside of heat, be sure to react and to duck and launch. It's not like other sort of like poison mist attacks where like the mist kind of lingers there for a long time. You can unduck and quickly punish this. Obviously don't be too quick, but yeah, this is much more lenient. Now, as you may know, in heat, this move is buffed. It instead of 35 frames to startup, it is now a 25 frame startup move, as you can see there. However, it does use a lot of the heat bar. Now, this one, if you're really sharp, I do believe you can react to this. But again, this is quite it's decently difficult. Depends on the player. But yeah, depending on where you're at in terms of skill level, I'd advise you definitely want to be ducking this outside of heat. 35 frames is very lenient. In heat, I'd recommend drilling this and also getting used to ducking this because you don't want to be taking that guaranteed throw. Granted, the throws he does off of Poison Mist do have scaling, but you know, if you can duck and launch this, I would definitely recommend drilling this, getting the reaction down. I know I'll be doing that. Next move really quick that I want to touch on, Armor King does have a shoulder. This is 13 frames, so we might use this as like a 13 frame punish, maybe like a 13 frame wall splat, that kind of thing. This is minus 19. So if you know Feng's shoulder, this is kind of like a similar situation. So make sure if for whatever reason you block this, do be sure to launch punish this. Next move we're going to touch on is King's down forward 1. Now, oftentimes with characters, they've been adding this a lot, is they give down forward 1s like a high and a mid extension, right? King does have an extension from down forward 1, however, he only has this high extension, right? So how this is supposed to be used is, this is what I presume from my testing, is you threaten them with the down forward 1, or you poke them with the down forward 1, and then if you think they are going to disrespect you and press after down forward 1 immediately, that's when you throw in the 2 extension, right? And then if the 2 extension hits on counter hit, you get a guaranteed crouch throw, like so. So that's how the move is ideally supposed to be used, if presuming obviously your opponent knows the counterplay. However, I'm sure that, you know, we'll see a lot of players just using this in the neutral a lot. So do be sure to be aware of that. There is no harm in trying to duck this. Again, there is no mid extension, it is just the high extension. Next up, we have one of King's main counter hit tools. This is down forward 2. Now this is a 15 frame mid counter hit launcher, as you can see. The caveat here, however, is that on block, this is minus 12. So if you see them going for this, punish this every time. Now, there is a little bit of a added mind game to this move. It does have a high extension, right? So down forward 2-1 is the high extension. You can see there. If you block it, this is only neutral on block, so that's worth keeping in mind. Again, if they're using this liberally for whatever reason, duck and launch. But here's sort of where I presume most of the mind games are going to come into play. So I presume most King players would prefer to just use the down forward 2 on its own for the launch property. Because one thing you will notice is that if you land down forward 2 on counter hit, however, you commit to the string extension, so you do down forward 2-1 on counter hit, there is no launch. You see that? So the whole string is guaranteed, but it's 33 damage. So that's a far cry from a full launch, right? So the Armor King player kind of has to choose, right? Do I just do this and sacrifice, you know, getting punished, but if I land the counter hit, I get the launch? Or do I use the high extension to stay safe on block, but risk the opponent ducking and launching me, right? If you can punish this consistently, then that's a win for you. If you punish it to the point where you get them to use this move, this extension, then you're no longer at risk of getting counter hit launched, which is also a win for you. It's also worth noting that if the second hit on its own counter hits, like let's say like you mash a punish here and then they do the extension, this isn't that scary. You see it's plus 11 there. Again, you're not getting launched or anything, right? So it's definitely way less threatening than down forward 2 on its own launching you. So keep that in mind. Force them to play those mind games. Force the Armor King player to have to make some kind of compromise. Don't let them get away with just using like a safe 15 frame mid counter hit launcher. Another cheeky little panic move that you might see King players use is his dick jab extension. So he's got obviously dick jab on its own, but he can also do down 1-4 like that. So he's got like a little mid extension here. This isn't too scary, so this was mainly used as like a panic button to get some extra damage, probably like at the end of rounds. Now, this on this hull string is not guaranteed on normal hit. You can see here. You can take the first hit and then block the second one. You can see how that's not a natural combo. If you block the second hit, it's -10. So do be sure to get your free punish there. The only way that this string is guaranteed is on counter hit. But even on counter hit, it's 19 damage into +6, so it's not super threatening. Next move we're going to go over is a little sort of knowledge check string here. So this is down to 4-3, like so. Now this move isn't that strong outside of just knowledge checking someone or catching someone mashing. Down 2 on its own is a nice mid check. Down 2-4 if they want to start doing the string. This is -14. If they see you mashing there, maybe trying to punish them, you know, they can do this extension here. If you block the last hit, it'll force you crouching, and you'll be +11. So get your while standing 4 punish there. And some jabs here, I tested this with a couple characters. It didn't work for all of them. Nina, I know it works for, so test this with your character. But you can, if you know they're going to do the last hit, you can jab float and get a nice little float punish here. And this is also good as well, because if they stop at the second hit, it is -14, so your jab will hit for like a punish anyway. So this is a good option to sort of beat them stopping at the second hit, and also for floating the last hit. Next up, we have a tool that will likely be used a lot at the end of rounds to catch people trying to punish a low. Now, some characters have this. For example, Nina has this in down 2-2. Like if you block this low and Nina commits to doing the mid, then she'll counter hit you trying to punish the low, right? And I know as a center has this, a couple characters have this, and you'll often see this be used at like the end of rounds, because for the player that's using the move, if the low hits, you know, if you're like one tap, if the low hits, then they kill you. And if you block the low but try to punish it, then the follow-up extension kills you. Now, for Armor King here, he's got down 3+4 for this low. Now, you'll see on its own, this is launch punishable. However, it's got 2 extensions to keep in mind. What you want to do is, if you do end up blocking this at the end of a round, you assume he's going to go low, he does go low, do be careful at punishing this. You can see I'm doing while standing 4 here, and I'm getting counter hit by this high extension here. Again, he also has, a mid extension here as well that will trade with while standing 4. Actually, no, it doesn't trade, sorry. Yeah, if you're quick enough. Yeah, while standing 4 will beat this, but it'll beat like other punishes. For example, I can't do my 13th frame. Yeah. So the best option here, if you know they're going to do one of these options, and again, at round end, it's safe to assume that they probably are. If you want to beat both of these options after blocking the low, specifically after blocking the low, this doesn't work if you get hit by the low, we'll go over that shortly. But if you block the low, sidestep right after will beat both the high extension, and it will also beat the mid extension. Now again, this is quite specific counterplay, but it's worth knowing in case an Armor King player tries to knowledge check you at the end of a round. On hit, this move isn't super strong from my testing. If they do the low on its own, sorry. It's a 15 damage, 17 frame low, but it leaves Armor King at -2, which isn't anything special. It is high evading, so that's alright, but it doesn't have any counter hit property. I mean, the only counter hit property is instead of being -2, it's now 0 on hit, so nothing really to be afraid of there. If he wants to commit to the extensions after this on hit, this is very risky for the Armor King player, right? So if he does the high, even if you block this high, you are now +9. This is a hell of a lot better than just taking the low on its own and being like +2. You are now +9 in Armor King's face. So you can threaten something like that. If he goes for... and of course, if he's throwing this out pretty obviously, you can get hit by this and then duck the high and launch this. He does have a mid extension to catch you ducking. And this one does 16 damage into flip over Oki. However, if you just hold back and block this, -15, you get a full launch here. But at the end of the day, the risk reward is heavily in favor of you rather than Armor King here. If you simply, I would recommend if you take this low, I'd probably preemptively duck the high to see if they want to do that. They're probably going to try and do that, see if you know to duck the high. I'd do that first. And then after that, I'd hold block and see if they do the mid. If they do the mid, launch it. If they don't do the mid and they do the high again, you're +9 in their face, right? So that's fine. If you're at the wall, I'd recommend just holding block here, as both extensions will wall splat you. So that's worth taking note of. So if you're against the wall, you get hit by this, I just hold back. You avoid the risk of getting wall splat, unless they're being super predictable. Next move we're going to go over is something that I imagine will be very challenging for intermediate and even advanced players. This is going to take some drilling for me to actually react to this, but this is down back 3. Now this move is +6 on hit. It's a homing low, it has high evasion, and as you can imagine from now, they've done this so many times before, it's a high evading counter hit launcher. So yeah, if this hits you for counter hit, if you try doing like a high or something, they can go under it and counter hit launch you. Now this move, unlike, you know, Jin's down 2, for example, which is also 22 frames, by the way, I would say this move the animation is more obvious. As you can see, he immediately ducks down as soon as the animation begins, so I reckon you can probably react to this. Online, if the internet's iffy, yeah, probably not. But offline, if they've got solid internet, you can probably react to this. This is definitely something I'm going to drill. We have seen, you know, if people are looking for Jin down 2, for example, people are able to react it, but at the same time, it's not consistent. So hopefully, because of the animation here, this will be more consistent to block. And unlike Jin's down 2, this move is stagger on block. So be sure to get a big punish if you manage to block this. Next up, we have another sort of knowledge check kind of string. This is back 2, 1, 2. So this move, if they just keep using the full string, the last hit is a high. So do be sure to duck and launch that. If they stop at the second hit for whatever reason, that is -12. One of King's quite strong tools that you really want to keep an eye out for and punish is back 3. The reason why this is strong is because it's got pretty solid range. You can see from about a distance of about 3. Yeah, from a distance of about 3, this will pretty reliably hit. 3, just under. Yeah, this has got some good range on it. And what makes this move so strong is that this is a normal hit launcher. So you can see there, it's an instant tornado, but Armor King's damage we've already seen is pretty crazy. So this is definitely one to keep an eye out. Definitely seems like a really solid whiff punisher tool, but we'll see how it gets used. I imagine we're going to see people throwing this out in the neutral. So if you do end up blocking this, punish it at -12. Now next up we have arguably one of the most problematic moves in his toolkit. This is up back 1. Now, I say problematic mainly when referring to intermediate play, as this move, you can see here the animation, he kind of leans backwards, he puts an arm in front of his face, and it's 24 frames, so this move is definitely reactable. The problem is, if you can't react to it, or if you don't react to it, if you haven't drilled this, then this move is simply too strong. You can see it's a +5 homing move on block, does a little bit of chip damage. Even outside of heat, on hit, Armor King gets a guaranteed shoulder. You can see there for 43. And like his other homing moves, this homing move will also wall splat you for big damage. And of course, in heat, this move gets even stronger. So now instead of +5, this move is +8 on block. And you can also choose to hold forward and cancel into bad Jaguar Stance at +8. This is broken if you can't react to it, in my opinion. I have seen people talk about, sidestep duck as a good counterplay against Armor King. That definitely seems to ring true. However, obviously you got to take into account like timing and all that. So I think just in general as like a strong homing tool to counter people from stepping if maybe you time your step duck wrong and you get clipped by this is going to hurt. What I'd say for this is if you want this matchup to not be a nightmare, practice reacting to this move. Practice ducking and launching this move, because you really don't want to let Armor King players get away with this, because if you can't react and duck and launch, this move is broken. But if you can, then you're going to get some big reward for Armor King players mashing this move. So keep that in mind. And of course, how could I forget to mention this? In heat, I'm sure you all know. Yeah, this is a normal hit launcher in heat. Next up, we have what I presume will likely be used as sort of like a flowchart tool. This is up back 1+2. This move isn't anything too crazy. On hit, it does lead to a guaranteed shoulder, so that's worth keeping in mind. However, this move is -14 on block. It does have a charge up variant that you can see here. This is neutral on block and does a bit of chip. However, in heat, this becomes +8. Now the counterplay to this move, again, I really think this is probably going to be a sort of a flowchart tool where Armor King players are going to do like some kind of like move that's like minus on block, and then they're going to flowchart into this to try and like catch you pressing. But again, I don't really know how effective this move particularly is. It doesn't look incredible, but we'll have to see. It's worth noting. If you see them do this, and maybe because the Armor King player doesn't want to get punished, they keep doing the charge up version, or they're mixing it up and you're getting a little confused. A good bit of counterplay I found is you can kind of do a fuzzy step. Now you'll notice that with the charge up variant, it has a little glow spark there. This is very steppable. However, if you react to the spark, there's not enough time to react and step. Now, how you do react to this is sort of similar to a fuzzy guard. You can see that this move is 30 frames, and the charge up version is 50 frames long, right? So what we can do here, similar to a fuzzy guard, is essentially a fuzzy step. So we wait for about, ideally around the 30 frame mark, 35 frame mark, whatever. And then after that, we input a sidestep when we notice that the animation is taking too long, right? So you hold block, and then if you notice the animation going for a little too long, you sidestep it. Like that. Next up, we're going to mention Armor King's 15 frame launches. Now sometimes, especially like when a character is newly released, you'll see players we saw this with Far Cry Ram a lot, where players were kind of just like mashing out the 15 frame launcher even though it's unsafe. Armor King also has an unsafe 15 frame launcher if he throws it out on block, being up forward 2-1, like so. So if you see them trying to like get a launch in the neutral, be sure to punish this. It's -13. His other 15 frame launcher though is just a hop kick, and as with pretty much all hop kicks, this is minus 13. While standing 1, so this is his 15 frame launcher from while standing. This is minus 12. Next one we're going to go over is forward forward 3. Now this one's, you can probably tell that it's a frame trap by the animation. You can see like the chip damage and you reeling backwards. This is +2 for Armor King. Now the reason why I bring this up is I reckon we're going to see a lot of this into like jab string or something. You're only -2, so you do have plenty of frames to work with here where you can step this. Another move that might be a little deceiving when you see it first time round or when you're labbing it is while running 3+4. Now, as you can see, this move says that Armor King is +17, and whilst yes, technically that is true, what this doesn't account for is the fact that he is grounded and that he has to get up off the ground if he wants to attack you again, right? So if we record Armor King just doing this move and doing like a really fast option, like holding up, doing a quick stand, and then doing dick jab, we can see that even though I am allegedly -17, which yes, technically I am, even like my down forward 1 here, we'll clip Armor King. So don't be deceived by the frames. Don't be deceived by the block stun animation. You can take your turn after this, and you can see there like this is Armor King doing like quick stand into dick jab. Next move I'm going to touch on just really quick is while standing 2. This is a very strong, safe 12 frame mid while standing counter hit launcher. You can see on counter hit you get like this special little animation, and Armor King gets a full launch here into big damage. The reason I bring this up is because you're likely going to see this move used a lot, and even though it is safe, this is -9 with 0 pushback. So I would recommend properly taking your turn back after this move. The reason why I mention moves that are like, you know, even if they're not punishable but they're still heavily minus, is because it's important not to just like default to, oh okay, it's my turn, I'm going to jab now, I'm just going to do a down forward 1. Like try mixing some lows in there if you're a Mishima player, try doing like hell sweeps and threatening them after this, really like mixing up with some of your longer or stronger tools after frames such as +9. Another one that looks quite deceiving is, and when I first saw this move I did not expect it to be plus on block, but this is full crouch down forward 2. Now this is essentially Armor King's like huge launcher to launch lows that are like stagger on block. Now usually how these work is that they're minus or punishable, but this one is unique in the fact that it's actually +1. You can see the little animation there, but I do think it's worth noting that this move doesn't really work like other ones that are similar to it. So you are -1 after this, so that's worth noting. Another move I quickly want to cover is back turn 3. We're going to see this when we go over the bad Jaguar stance, because there is some use case there. But this move is -14. So do be sure to punish this move if you see it. This is a normal hit launcher at 13 frames. And actually has a decent bit of tracking as well. Next thing I'm quickly going to go over is his throws. Now, unlike King, where King actually is able to mix you up when he throws you with 1 breaks and 1+2 breaks and that kind of thing. Perfect example that most people know is Giant Swing being a 1+2 break animation, yet being broken with 1. Now, Armor King is thankfully not like this. So Armor King, you can actually react to all of its throws and break them on reaction. However, it is, from my testing, definitely harder than your average character. And his throw game is, obviously, as it should be, you know, much stronger than your average Tekken character. Now, as you can see, this is a 1+2 break animation. Pretty obvious to people that have labbed it. This is a 2 break animation. You can see here, again, very obvious with his right arm leading there. Now, here's where it gets a little complicated. Now, Giant Swing, or Armor King's version of it, is also, like King, a 1 break. However, the animation, now you can call me crazy in the comments if you want, but the animation for this 1 break does seem significantly more disguised and ambiguous compared to most one break animations, right? So this is Armor King's Giant Swing animation. Now you can see there that technically it does look different to this, right? You can see here he's clearly leading with both arms, whereas with here he is slightly leading with his left arm. However, to me at least, it does seem quite a bit more ambiguous. And for example, if we go to Nina here, who also has a 4-throw game, see the 1+2 break animation, the 2 break animation, again, both of those seem pretty obvious, and then the 1 break animation. Now for me, this 1 break animation seems a hell of a lot more obvious than Armor King's 1 break animation. Now again, I'm not here to say whether this is like a insane bad thing or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, Armor King is also a grappler character, and I do think it's cool that you can actually react to the 1 break. But I just thought I might put that out there where, at least for me, I will be doing Armor King specific throw break training, just so I can sort of get used to that more ambiguous 1 break kind of animation. Now, the only case in which this rule is broken is his crouch dash throw. Now, this is actually Armor King's only chain grab, again cementing that his throw game is certainly not as strong or overwhelming to deal with as King's. But he does have a chain grab, and this is CD 1+3, like so. And this one is the only throw animation in which it is a little confusing, as this is a 1+2 animation. Yet this is listed as a 1 or 2 break. Now, the reason I say this is listed as a 1 or 2 break is, upon me testing it, for some reason, I could not break this with 2. I don't know why. 1 break worked perfectly fine. I don't know if that's a bug or something, but test it out for yourself. Maybe I'm being insane. I know for a fact you can break this with 1, but it says on the move that it says, you know, break this with a 1 or 2, so maybe that's patched out by the time you're watching this, I don't know. But that's worth noting. You can most certainly break it with 1 though. Now, quickly going over, if you do get hit by this chain grab, you are in a 3-way mix-up, right? So it is between a 1 break, a 2 break, or a 1+2 break. You have to guess after you get hit by the this first initial throw. You have to guess between 1, 2, or 1+2. Now, I don't want this video to go for too long, so I'm just going to give you a very general, basic rundown between the most threatening and the least threatening option. So the 1+2 option after this, so the 1+2 break option, is the most threatening. It does the most damage, and if you get hit by it, like so, you get put in a 2-way mix-up. You can see after Armor King hits the 1+2 there, he goes into this stance here, and it's a mix-up between a 1 break or a 2 break. Now, if you guess wrong again, then this is the most damaging option. So I would recommend, if you want to default to like guessing a certain break, if you want to avoid the most threatening option, it would be 1+2, as it does the most damage, and you have to guess twice. Now, the second most threatening option is the 2 break option. Now, the 2 break option will also put you in a 2-way mix-up if it hits. Like so, he goes into this like sleeper hold stance, and you have to guess between a 1 or a 2 break again. This does only 5 less damage than the 1+2 break option. So again, even though it's technically less threatening, it is still very threatening. So that's worth keeping in mind. I would probably default to breaking with 1+2. If you recognize that they're maybe doing the 2 break, then you can, default to that. Now, the least threatening of all these options is the 1 break option. Now, the 1 break option, the good thing about this is if you're on the receiving end and you get hit by this, yes, you take 40 damage, but there is no guess period after. So if Armor King hits you with this, yes, you take that bit of damage, but you're not put into another 2-way mix-up like the 2 break and the 1+2. So, general rule of thumb, 1+2 is the most threatening, 2 is the second most threatening and is still threatening. Both of those will put you in another 2-way mix-up if you guess wrong, but the 1 option is the least threatening. So I would cycle between breaking with 1+2 or 2 if you happen to get hit by this crouch dash throw. Now the next category we're going to be going over is Armor King's main stance. This is bad Jaguar stance. Important thing to note is most of the time when you are on the defending side, the main frame number you're going to be worried about is +8. Now this is probably forward neutral 2 into bad Jaguar stance. This is probably the one that is most recognizable for all of you. But most of the transitions into bad Jaguar leave Armor King at +8. So +8 is the magic number that you want to be keeping in mind for your counterplay. Now, long story short is, from my testing, this stance has very little counterplay outside taking a guess, so that is unfortunate. But we're going to go through the counterplay for all of the options, so you know what to do if you have a read. Now, when going over these mix-ups and the counterplay, I will be referring to it in the context of you being -8. As stated previously, that is pretty much what you're going to be every single time. There are a couple of exceptions, one key one being if he does a 1-2-1 like this, which, by the way, unlike King, you cannot sidestep the third hit right, but he also doesn't have any extension after 1-2-1. He can only do 1-2-1 and then that's it. If he holds forward after 1-2-1, he can go into bad Jaguar, but you can see here this is -19, so this is just like a fake mix-up. You can just react to this and interrupt him out of it. Now the first move we're going to talk about is Armor King's 1 option. Important to note, this is Armor King's quickest option from bad Jaguar, is this 1 jab at 11 frames. Now he can decide to just do this 1 jab on its own, like so. It'll be like +1. That is actually a little frame trap that you might want to keep in mind if Armor King players do this, but I imagine you're not going to see this until high level. But most of the time, what you're going to be seeing are these extensions. First one we have is 1-2. Now this is a high mid string, and it is one of the heat engages we actually covered in the heat section. This is -12, so do be sure to make sure you're punishing this every time you see it. The other option he has, if he sees you blocking and punishing that, is 1-4. Now this is a bit of an interesting one. This is a high string, so you can duck and launch the second hit if you've got a read on it, again, because of course he can do the 1-2, the mid option to hit you. But if you get a read on him doing this, duck and launch. An important thing to note, this move on block is sort of a unique situation for Armor King, where he's +4 into back turn. Now, to understand why +4 into back turn for Armor King is important to make a note of, is due to this 13 frame back turn launcher that he has, that we covered a little earlier. Now this is definitely worth keeping in mind, because if you try and press here, you will get launched. And this is also a normal hit launcher that has decent tracking as well, so if you try and sidestep here, you cannot step this. So this will kill you for trying to step, and it will kill you for trying to press. So do keep that in mind. The caveat here is that this is -14. Now, whereas bad Jaguar 1 and its extensions come out at 11 frames and are highs, those are used to counter mashing, stepping, parries, and power crush. Due to you being presumably -8, this move being 11 frames will counter you doing pretty much anything. The only hard counter to this is to duck the first hit on a read. Next up we have bad Jaguar 2. Now this is Armor King's mid option here. As you can see, it's a 15 frame mid. This effectively, from my testing, counters mashing, stepping, and ducking. So again, even though this is 15 frames, presuming we're -8, that we're still much too minus to do much of anything. So the extensions from this one that you want to keep in mind, not as worrying as the 1 extensions. First one we have is 2-3. This is a mid-high. But you can see here, even if you block this, you're +7. If you get a read on it, and likely, again, Armor King players will probably use this as their default first option because of it being safe. So I would recommend, if you see this, you know, if you're feeling lucky, you can try ducking that if they go for the high. Next option is the mid. Now this is where ducking becomes scary. Obviously worth noting, just like before, this mid extension is -12, so be sure to punish this every time. However, if this catches you ducking, it's 35 damage into Oki there, so I would be a little hesitant ducking, as also, you know, this is the move from the trailer. I imagine a lot of Armor King players are going to want to hit this on you, so maybe it's better, depending on the player, get an idea of what they like to do. The next move we're going to talk about is Armor King's armor move from this stance, and that is Bad Jaguar 3. This has tracking to the right, however it is pretty linear to the left. Like so. So that's worth keeping in mind. Now, on its own, outside of heat, this is a pretty bog standard armor move, you know, -13. Be sure to punish that. The problems come when this is used in heat. So if Armor King has heat, this is fully jailing. Like we went over in the heat section, this move, there's not a whole lot you can do against it. If you are -8, after getting hit by a move and Armor King goes into Bad Jaguar, you're -8. Due to it being 20 frames startup, you can step this to the left, and this will not track you. So if you've got a strong read, they're like, okay, my opponent's in heat, he likes using the plus on block armor move. God, why is that in the game? But if you get a read that they like to use that, then I would recommend sidestepping left on a hard read. But again, he has a lot of other options from stance to counter that, so do that on a hard read. Next up we have Bad Jaguar 4. This is his low option from his stance. This is 17 frames. However, it is worth noting that this move has pretty good tracking. Especially if you're -8, yeah, you're not stepping this. So this will effectively counter you stand blocking, it will counter you stepping, and it will also, because it's 17 frames and Armor King's +8, this is frame tight, so this will counter you doing like any kind of like jabs or stuff like that. Armor move does work against some of these options. It will not work against something like the, you know, one option, which is 11 frame. And it's a pretty chunky low as well. 23 damage into +3. You're also forced into crouch. Only -13 on block, but do keep that in mind. If you've got a strong read, you do have time to do a hop kick or an orbital or something like that. So do keep that in mind. If he's getting predictable with this, you can blow him up for it. But again, this is all about reads at the end of the day. Next up, we have Bad Jaguar 1+2. This is the option he will use to counter you holding back and for ducking. Now, it is worth noting that if you are ducking, you can react to this move at 26 frames and unduck, and then go into a stand block and just block this normally. But if he does catch you ducking like that, he gets a guaranteed crouch throw. Like so. And this is on normal hit. On block, as you might expect, this is a frame trap. Armor King is +5. It is linear though. It's a very long move. It's 26 frames. So again, if you've got a read on this, you can step it either direction. If you've got a read on a longer move like this or the armor move, I'd say sidestep left to beat both those options there. Next up, we have a bit of an odd option. This is Bad Jaguar down back 1+2. So this is sort of like a weird tackle that he does. It's a 14 frame mid. And on hit, does a little bit of damage, 33, leaves you on the floor. So this one also does not track very well. On block, this move is again a little bit odd because it leaves him, yes, you're +18, but this leaves him grounded. So again, if I do like my slide pickup punish, this will not work. So for Nina, what I do is I do a sidestep cancel into QCF2. But essentially, find something that hits grounded here. If you've got something from crouch that hits grounded, then that's great. But yeah, you're going to have to lab that for yourself. It is also worth noting that this option, due to it being fast and an attack throw, this will beat you parrying, it will beat you doing armor move, and it will beat you mashing, ducking, all that stuff. Lastly, what we're going to go over is Armor King's 2 throws that he has from this stance. First thing right off the bat that is worth taking note of is that both of these throws, the 1 break and the 2 break, are both 14 frames in stance. Obviously, this is another option to beat you using parries or power crush, so again, keep that in mind. However, the good thing about these throws for you as the defender, if you've got your throw breaks down, even though, you know, he has the giant swing from this, as we covered earlier, the animation is seeable. And because it's actually a bit easier here, because you're actually only dealing with 2 possible throws. So he's got giant swing as a 1 break, and then he's also got this 2 break throw here, and this animation is much more obvious, you see here. So it is very possible, if you're struggling with the weird sort of 1 break animation, and Armor King's in stance, and you're trying to like break the throws, then look out for the 2 break animation, this sort of obvious 2 break animation. If you see that, break with 2. If you don't see that and it's the other animation, it's a different one, then break with 1. And the final thing we're going to go over before we round out this video is Armor King's 10 hit strings. The reason why I lab these is because I hate 10 hit strings and I hate people knowledge checking me with them in game. I don't know why they're in the game. They all are super annoying and shouldn't be there, but they also all have obvious counterplay that can blow up the opponent if you know. However, most of the time people don't know what 10 hit strings do, me included, so I'm kind of making a habit of trying to have the answer in my head just in case somebody tries to cheese me out, you know? So both of these 10 hit strings, he's got 2 variants, but both of them have the same first 5 hits, right? So the first 5 hits of both of these 10 hit strings is the exact same. First line of counterplay is all of them include this reactable low here. So this 25 frames reactable low. Now, because of the way this 10 hit string works and how he seamlessly goes from move to move, if you try and do a 15 frame punish here for this low, because you can see it says 21, right? But presumably they're going to keep doing the 10 hit string here. And if they do continue, your 15 frame launcher will trade. And this should be fine. Depending on what character you have, you'll just be able to still get that full launch. So that is worth keeping in mind, though, that this will be a trade if you use a 15 frame. Anything less will be a punish. Alternatively, you can low parry this on reaction as well. It's kind of your choice. I imagine most of the time you probably just want to take this trade. Now, the other thing you can do here is if you end up getting hit by that low, what you can do is you can react to those 4th and 5th hits coming out, so boom, boom, and then sidestep left after this. So after the 5th hit, sidestep left, and you will beat the 6th option of both 10 hit strings. Even though the 6th option of both 10 hit strings is different, you will beat both of them. So this is the first one. You can see I can sidestep left when activating the second 10 hit string. Same rule applies. Wait for the 5th hit, sidestep left, do your launch. Just like that. So that'll work for... Those are 2 sources of counterplay for the 10 hit string. I know that is super specific, but I hate 10 hit strings and I don't like getting hit by them. So I just thought I might include that for people out there who, like me, also hate 10 hit strings. And that will round off this Tekken 8 Armor King guide. I really do hope that you got something out of this. If you did and you made it through the whole way through, or you just skipped to a timestamp and you found something useful, a like would be greatly appreciated. This is the first video that I'm doing on my channel, however you can expect to see more Tekken 8 content coming in the near future. I am very passionate about learning and improving at this game, so if you'd like to join me for that, I'd love to have you. Again, thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. If you've got anything that I've missed or that you'd like to add to the discussion, please do comment below. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much, guys.